I'm going to try this again and make a video. This is like my fifth take on this thing. It always stops right in at the end. And I don't feel like editing things and splicing pieces together. But, I like to have conversation. But I like when I have a conversation, it's more like a private conversation. YouTube is too public. It's just too public for me. Here I am, I'm making videos and expressing myself. But there's a difference between expressing an ideal and having a conversation. It's two different things. And even when I'm expressing an ideal, I'm not actually intending to change anything. I'm not intending to even influence people. I'm just expressing something. That's all. Some people find what I say interesting and some of them don't. Obviously, a lot of people don't, because on average, my videos still, even with the climbing number of subscriptions I get, I still get, on average, I may get 35, 40 views per video. Lately, though, I've actually been doing better than average, only because I had that one big spike in views. But most of my videos aren't very interesting. I don't have much to say. I don't have a lot of things to contribute to a conversation. I'm not a very interesting person, and I even admit it. Most of the time, if you talk to me, you'd probably be bored out of your mind. It'd be like, oh, God, he's going to bring up that stuff about David Hume or Jean-Paul Sartre. And I find it fascinating. I just, sometimes I could be deeply moved by something. To the point where I would actually wind up in France, at the gravesite of Jean-Paul Sartre, because, his philosophy moved me so much. But it's like, I'm not really very good at conversation. I'm not a good person at that. Except in private. I think in private, because we can talk about different aspects of it. It's not just a pro and con thing. For example, I would actually like to have a real conversation with someone who has a complete different view, but who thought about it. I think about what William James said, that, he said something that I was thinking. He was mentioning, it wasn't really even what the topic is. It could be about free will. It could be about religion. It could be about the death penalty. It doesn't matter what it is. But if the other person thought about what they were talking about, if they really gave it some serious thought, and you really gave your position some serious thought, you feel more of something with that person than if you have somebody who agrees with you, but they didn't give it much thought. So like he talked about the naive believer, so to speak, or the naive supporter of something. The person who believes in God because they were taught to believe in God, or because they grew up in it. Instead of a person who believes in God, but they did so even after giving it a lot of thought and really going over it a lot in their mind and thinking about this. And you can have a conversation with somebody who's an atheist who gave it a lot of thought and really thought about it. You'd have more in common and feel closer to that person than you would somebody who believes your same position, except they didn't come to it by thinking. They just came to it because they were part of a group or something. Real conversations are good to have. But one thing I always think that they have to be private. If somebody wants to actually talk to me and have a conversation, real conversation, really talk about something, talk it out, maybe one day we could even get together and do a collaborative video. But once we talk out things, we understand each other, we have a friendship, we develop a relationship, we understand each other. That has to happen by us having a real conversation. And that has to be private. That has to be, if you want to know my email address, write to me. Or you can get on my Facebook page. Or if you look for PH Lewis 86, the Facebook thing, and you leave a comment or something or whatever, I'll get back to you and we can have a conversation. We can talk. Maybe one day, we could talk over the phone. That'd be nice. And maybe if you're close enough by, we could meet each other and have lunch one day. I've actually met one of my subscribers once. It was kind of like the weirdest situation. And he's probably watching this because he is subscribed to me. We met, The only person who's a subscriber of mine, and I've subscribed to his channel. And we've actually met. But most times, I don't public things, it's just, I don't like getting in public debates or public discussions and stuff, because I always feel like whenever it becomes public, something happens. It's just this thing happens when it gets to be a public discussion, when it gets to be a public debate, when it becomes a public thing. It just, I think all of us wind up playing to the crowd sometimes. And we start losing out on what we really are and who we really are and what our opinions really are, what we really think. Because a lot of stuff, I actually don't say everything I think, everything I feel, and everything I believe. I don't say it all on YouTube because I know I would probably be, just skinned alive. I'd said before, I do believe in God. I'm a person but I wouldn't describe myself necessarily as religious. If I say religious, see, the problem is with words, whenever you use words like religious, for example, or believe in God, phrase like that, it brings up a thought in people's minds that is not equal to what I'm thinking. Most religious people would hate my guts. They would think, you're supposed to believe in the Lord. And, then I say, yeah, but I think, like I found a lot of stuff in the Bible to be contradictory. And now that I'm actually going through the Bible, little by little, I'm making a point of getting through all the books of the Bible. So far, I'm in Chronicles. The first Chronicles I just finished. And little by little, I'm going through that. And then I'll get through Ezra and get through Nehemiah. And then I'll get through Job and, and so on and so forth. As I get through each one of them, I begin to look at, why did God do that? And I'm like surprised God thought that and he said that. And one part, even surprised me when God actually said he regretted something. I was like, what? I was like, God actually admitted he regretted something? It's like, that's actually in the Bible. It's like, wait a minute, how can that? But we won't even go into that because I could talk forever about that. But, if somebody actually wants to have a conversation with me, we can. It's just, I don't expect a lot of it here on YouTube. I'll talk, I'll respond, I'll say something, I'll give an opinion. But like a real deep conversation, an interesting conversation, that has to happen off to the side somewhere. Like I said, write to me. We can exchange email addresses or something like that and have a conversation. But not publicly. I have to live in the world, so to speak. That's just reality. I'm being practical. I'm somewhat of a pragmatist when it comes to that. I'm always going to be honest on my channels, but I don't express everything I think and everything I feel and the details of it. Because I have to talk to people who are open-minded.